shout out to Fidelity as well, Terry Larkin, Dominic, all of my friends over there. Thanks so much for setting up the call, and to Michael too. Guys, I'm going to go first, then Michael's going to go, and please stick around for Michael because he's got an amazing solution, but also really knows this stuff. And I think you can take a lot away from this call. Whenever I do a call like this, my objective is that you leave the call with information that is free. Every technology company in the entire world's calling you guys, constantly trying to sell you stuff. But the idea here is that you get good, valuable content that you can do today. So use today. So I'm calling this online brand optimization for realtors. A little bit about me. My name is 𝗀𝗏𝗿𝗲. I've been in real estate tech for way long, 10, 15 years. I'm an independent consultant. I focus on online brand and reputation management. Before I was in real estate tech, I was a mortgage broker, so I've lived in your worlds close to it. And I also owned a couple of restaurants when I was in my mid-20s. And the reason why I point that out is only to say that there is no industry that is more vulnerable to online reputation, reviews, that kind of stuff than restaurants. And so I'm very familiar with the vulnerability that you may have as your own business, which you are. And but there's more to it than that. So let's get down to some stats that matter. Here's the first one. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to show you a bunch of slides. We're going to look at 3 slides and we're going to get into some real world stuff. So, just let me get through these 3 slides and then I'm going to get into stuff that's a little bit more dynamic. Okay, first stat, 73% of consumers choose a business via online search results without ever visiting a website. Why am I showing that to you? Because you are realtors and you all have your own websites, or at least you have an indexed site on your broker's site. And so many realtors put so much time, emphasis, and dollars into their website. But at the end of the day, when you hand over that business card, hi, my name is scottvancea, and the website is www.scottsfantasticlosangeleshomes.com, they are not typing that into Google or into the URL bar. They're going to just Google your name. So the website matters. You have to have one. It is your business card, but don't put so much emphasis on that. At the end of the day, people are going to Google you. They're going to Google your name. So think about that as we go through this presentation. Here's the next one. 69% of consumers only find relevance in reviews that are less than 2 to 3 months old. I don't know about you guys, but when I went to my last chiropractor that was referred to me, I did 2 things. I filtered the reviews by negative reviews. And that's so important, because why would someone do that? Well, I think a lot of you on this call would do that too. I want to see the bad stuff first. More importantly, I want to see if the chiropractor, in this case, responded to that bad review and how did they respond to it. But also, if I'm going to a sushi restaurant and the last review was a year ago, I'm starting to lose confidence in if that's where I want to spend my hard-earned money and if that's the raw fish that I want to consume. So think about that. When you are your own business, you are soliciting reviews. It's not just about having 5-star reviews. It's about how many, and more importantly, how recent are they? Here's the last stat. I think it's the most compelling. That's why I made it fly out from the ceiling like that. So dynamic. 87% of referred real estate prospects. This is an NAR stat. This is an ancient NAR stat. It's 5 years old, which means it's old news. 87% of referred real estate prospects will Google you before they call you. Enough said. Let's keep moving. Here's the next question I ask. After they Google you, what do they do? Is that it? Right? I've been referred to. I go out for dinner tonight with my wife. I live in LA, and the other couple says, we're thinking of selling our home. And I said, you need to work with Michael Lamb. He's a great realtor, got my home sold quickly. He's a tough negotiator. He's got a network, an excellent marketer. Are they going to just Google him? Or are they also going to do something like, who's the top real estate agent in Arcadia, California? Who's the best listing agent in Los Angeles? So think about that as we move along. There's 3 things I'm going to focus on today. Number 1, Google My Business. If you don't have a Google My Business profile, you have to have one. It's free. So for those of you who do have one, you need to optimize it. We're going to talk about that. The next one we're going to talk about is reviews. And I'm going to make a controversial statement now. If you're getting reviews, don't get them on Zillow. Zillow's pivoting. They're changing their business model. We know that. Don't get them on Yelp. I mean, you can get reviews on these platforms. That's fine. Yelp, Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Facebook, Reach 150, Testimonial Tree. At the end of the day, before you get reviews anywhere, you should be getting them on Google. And we're going to talk about why. And then the last thing is this really super sexy topic called business citations. I know it sounds really intriguing, but I hope it'll be compelling for all of you because it's a very important piece. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to focus on a couple of real world scenarios. I'm going to look at actual real estate agents. I don't typically like to focus on realtors who might be on the call because I might, pick apart a few in a way that might be seen as negative. So I went a little bit out of San Jose proper. And I know that all of you are sort of working in San Jose and surrounding area. I went to Santa Rosa. I don't know. There could be a Santa Rosa realtor on here. I hope I don't say anything negative, but I'm using it so that it's kind of real to all of you. Okay. So here's what I did. I went to good old Zillow, who I just lambasted. And I went there and went to that default page to look at some realtors, right? If I go to the default page on the agent finder in Zillow, I get some high profile, prolific real estate agents in the Santa Rosa area. And I'm showing you these folks for a reason. Right at the top, we've got 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗄, Kimberly Yang, 𝗪𝗏 that's an interesting name, Rhonda Elderman, Brett Men. So when I'm looking at these people, these are the people with 58 reviews, 69, 124 reviews. These are well-known, prolific agents. What happens when I'm referred to them? If someone told me to work with Adam, I would Google Adam's name. And when I do that, I see all of his links here on the left-hand side, but they're not really catching my eye because there's this dynamic profile right in the middle of the page that tells me everything I need to know about 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗄, who works at Prosper Real Estate in Santa Rosa. And although I don't love this picture because I can't really see them, it looks like a nice, friendly bunch of people. Looks like people I might want to do business with. He has 32 5-star Google reviews. Here's his listings. And as I scroll down, I see a full biography of Adam and posts the way you would post to Facebook or Instagram. I'm pointing all of this out for a reason because I've been referred to Adam and I'm seeing the best of Adam right here in front of me. Let's take the next person. Let's take Kimberly Yang. She's number 2. I search for Kimberly. I don't love this profile because I don't see the woman that I met in the open house. This picture down here of her and her partner are too small, but that's not the point. Really, she's got a dynamic profile as well. Lots of Google reviews. As I scroll down, she doesn't have posts. She doesn't have stuff, but she is showing up. This is the person that I've been referred to. I'm going to show you a few more and I'm going to get to the point. Right now, we're talking about the good. Then we're going to get to the bad and the ugly. Now let's look at the next person I saw on here, Rhonda Elderman. Same thing, nice picture of a listing, 28 5-star Google reviews. Again, I don't really know what this is. I should see a picture of her, should be here so I can validate that's the woman that I met at the open house or what have you. And as I scroll down, there's some more information. It's not the greatest profile, but there it is. Now, let's get to a mixture of the bad and the ugly. 𝗪𝗏𝗿𝗄𝗏. This guy's got a great name. It's like marshmallow. Who's never gonna remember that, right? Branding. But somebody who's got this great name, who's a Zillow Premier agent with 86 total reviews. I know we're recording this, Marshall, I hate to say it, but if I search for you, I don't not only not see you, but it's all white space. And here's why that's so important. Because when I do the inevitable next search, which is, but who's the top Santa Rosa real estate agent? We've all seen this before. It's called the Google 3-pack. Google says, well, we're pretty sure this is our best 3 answers. It's Andrew Saltzman and 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗄𝗏. Remember, that's the guy that we looked at first, and Ron Larson. And if I hit view all, it opens up a map. And here's sort of the key piece to this. Not only do I not see Marshall when I look for him, but Marshall will never be on this map. And this map is the yellow pages of our time. I know there are some people on this call who might be younger realtors who don't know what the yellow pages are. If you look at my hairline, you will know that I clearly know what the yellow pages are. It used to be a book that was placed on my front doorstep, and my dad used to put it underneath my butt when we ate dinner to get me up above the table. But that was a thing that we looked at for businesses. Folks do not go to Zillow looking for realtors. They go to Google. They go to Zillow looking for property and they happen upon a realtor. They go to Google to look for their chiropractors and their dentists and their realtors and to do their research. And this map and these pins are Google profiles. That's what I'm getting to. So if someone told me to work with Adam or didn't, but I went to this map, this profile that's popped up on the map is Adam's Google profile. This is the same as this. Meaning that Marshall, I don't see the best of him when I look for him, and he's not competing on the map. And this is free. One more person. 𝗀𝗵𝗋𝗶𝗱𝗄, just the same thing. I look her up, all white space, which means I don't see her and she's not on the map. However, my question is, why are these folks on page 1? And I don't know everything, but I know a few things. There are fundamentals to Google My Business that allow a realtor to compete better. So there's two pieces to this. Do you show up when someone looks for you? And how do you compete? Let's look at Rhonda Alderman, right? So she was one of the people on Zillow. She's got this profile. If someone told me to work with her, I would Google her name and here she is. So first of all, if you're creating your Google profile or you already have one, you will be told to put in a picture. And I would suggest you put in your face. But also, when I click on her pictures, there are not just one, there are many, many pictures. In fact, when I look at this, I typically think no one sort of puts this many pictures. Let's go to Adam Manconi as well, in here sort of willy-nilly, right? Typically, when people are adding this many pictures, Google loves it, first of all. More pictures, they give you more equity in your profile. But if you can geotag those pictures to your location, even better, right? This person has dozens and dozens of geotagged pictures embedded into their profile. Let's go back. Let's look at Adam as we scroll down. Adam has a biography. He didn't just write real estate agent. He wrote a whole biography with his city name in it. There's a lot of information in here that can be used to figure out whether Adam is the right choice for Google to show to someone who's looking for a Santa Rosa realtor. As I scroll down, if you're going to spend time posting to Facebook and Instagram, why not put a post on Google? Not just because the consumer will see it, but because Google sees it. And Google has come right out and said, responsible business owners will regularly keep their clients up to date on the latest and greatest. And so they give you equity in your profile. You want someone to be standing in the middle of Santa Rosa, if that's where you are working, and to Google realtor or search realtors near me and have a profile that's going to pull them towards you as one of the options. So Adam and Rhonda have what I would call optimized. Adam's is more optimized, but more optimized profiles. Let's talk about the reviews now for a moment. I'm not looking over here on the left-hand side. When I search for Rhonda, the profile is right in front of my face, as is the 26 5-star Google reviews. And Zillow, which has dominated our industry in so many ways, well, I don't even see Zillow on the left if I did look over there. Now, if I scroll down, eventually, they're at the bottom. So what's my point? There's three key pieces to these reviews. Number one, it's the first thing they see. So that's where you want to put the reviews. Number two, it's a Google product, which means that the number of 5-star Google reviews directly correlate with someone's ability to rank, right? If you have a lot of Google reviews, you have a better shot at ranking in your local area. And here's the third thing, and it's the part that's actually, I think, really interesting. I searched, if you all noticed, for top Santa Rosa real estate agents. And isn't it funny that as I scroll down, you'll notice that Google is pulling out mentions on the website and mentions on, reviews of these realtors because of the content. Meaning that if I put the word top into search, they found the word top in this review. See, top. She is top in her field. Peter and Bridget were top notch. What's my point? The content of the review is read by Google and is used to correlate with search query. Someone's going to Google, as I'm sure they have many times. Someone's going to write, as I'm sure they have many times, James Endo is the best Los Gatos real estate agent money can buy. James isn't even smiling because he just knows it's true. He's just nodding, right? someone's going to Google best Los Gatos real estate agent, and there's a correlation made there. So you've all been told to write blogs, like anyone's got time to do that. You've all been told to create content regularly and to fill it with hashtags and do all this stuff. The reviews on your Google page is the most dynamic and valuable content you can possibly have. Also, you should be responding to reviews. Notice how Rhonda has responded to these reviews, especially if there's a negative review. If you ever get a negative review, the first thing you do is you respond to it in an amicable way so that other consumers who look at that review see it. Basically, the way we talk about reviews is if you get a bad one, it's not about getting it removed. It's next to impossible to get it removed. Responding to a review in a strategic way virtually neutralizes that bad review. Okay, so we've talked about 2 of the 3. We talked about Google My Business. If you don't have one, tonight, set up Google My Business. There's 5-minute tutorial videos that will show you to do it. It's totally free. The second thing is, but part of that is optimizing it. Geotag photos, postings, all that stuff. Second thing we talked about is reviews. You got to get reviews. I'm suggesting you can get them on Google. Hopefully I made a compelling argument for that. Here's the third thing. It's the part I said that was super exciting, but I was being sarcastic, but it's called business citation syndication. I'm going to explain it to you and then I'm going to show it to you. Whenever you search for something online, show me a dentist in Santa Rosa, show me a chiropractor in San Jose, show me a realtor in Los Gatos. What Google does and Yahoo does and Bing does is they say, oh, you want a realtor? We're going to look at all the web directories out there. We're going to find where all the realtors exist. And the more places where you are with your information matching, right? NAP, N-A-P, name, address, phone, all of that is the same. The more credibility the search engine thinks they think you have, right? So they want to show you as the best result. I don't know if I described that well, so let me show it to you. We looked at Rhonda and we looked at Jennifer with no profile. I also want to show you with Rhonda that when I scan her business, notice that her name is Rhonda Alderman Realtor -- Keller Williams Realty. That's her name on Google. That is the grandparent, not Kimberly, Rhonda. That's the grandparent of search. You want everywhere else to match the grandparent. I call them the grandchildren. You want them all to have the same name, address, and phone number. And when we look at Rhonda, you'll see that her information is pretty tight. It's not just on Google, it's on Bing, Facebook, and Yelp. Almost all realtors are on those places. But as I scroll down, you'll see she's on web directories that virtually no one will ever go to. Nobody's going to 𝗪𝗵𝗁.com looking for a realtor or AB Local, but the search engines are. These are called business citations or business listings. And the more of them that you are on with all the information matching, the more credibility you have to the search engine. Jennifer, who is on page 1 of Zillow at 70 Zillow reviews, 73 Zillow reviews, does not have a Google profile. When I scan her business, which is 𝗪𝗵𝗁 HomeSmart, she is on a handful. 2 of them are her other business because we've matched her phone number. And then the other ones, she's called something different. She's called 𝗪𝗵𝗁 but she's at HomeSmart now. And as you can see, it's different information everywhere. She doesn't have the credibility, according to the spider crawlers, the bots that check all this stuff in a split second, that Miss Rhonda Alderman has. Just so that you know, when you look at these, this was not done manually. Rhonda did not, I don't know Rhonda, I just know because I've been doing it long enough. She did not call up Local Stack or 𝗵𝗲𝗁 or 𝗪𝗵𝗁.com to get her information onto these web directories. This was done with software, and anyone on this call could buy that software license. There's a number of services that provide it. There's good ones and there's ones that aren't so great. And I can make recommendations for anyone's interested, but it's called business citation syndication. We use a company called Yext, which is like text, but with a Y. I think they're the best. They're the biggest reach, but there's a number of companies that do it. Okay, I think that was everything. I hope it was valuable for everybody. Before we get, maybe I'll stick around for you, Michael, and then we'll save all the questions to the end if there are any.
Sounds good. Great stuff, Scott.
Okay, I'm going to stop
a lot
sharing.
Of stuff you're saying, man, I wish people can really, really take that to heart, because, you know, when you think about like all the technology companies out there, if I had to bet my money on which company is going to stick around, Facebook, Google, right? What are the other, Twitter? I'm going to bet my money on YouTube. I'm going to bet my money on Google, right? They have the money to withstand anything. So if you're going to put your profile, put it on Google. That's just like a bare minimum before you even hit Facebook, honestly. They're number one in search engine in text, number one search engine in video. So it makes sense that you put your brand on Google. So with that said, let's begin here. Again, I just can't stress enough. I just want to thank all of Fidelity folks for inviting their clients to this webinar. I know that they care about your business. They care about growing your business. And we have the same mindset. We're trying to just add value to the relationship here. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen here. And let's begin here. And I'm going to keep everyone on mute. If you have any questions, just jump it through the live chat. With that said, let's go ahead and begin. So first and foremost, my name is Michael Lamb. I am the founder of 𝗀𝗄𝗏. Very basically, what we do is we help realtors turn any video or photo that they're sharing online into an instant micro website that is fully branded with a live chat to get leads. Now, today, I'm not going to talk about that. I want to really talk about as a fellow real estate entrepreneur, where I wear multiple hats, and very similar to everyone in this room, we all wear multiple hats. When someone asks, what is it you do? I bet you don't say, I just sell real estate, right? Because you do a lot more than just sell real estate. You're a therapist, you're a marriage counselor, you're a financial advisor, you're a contractor, a stager, a marketer. You do so many different things. The thing is, though, how do you scale? How do you do it affordably? How do you do it efficiently? And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to really supercharge your brand, grow it out on social media. I'm going to give out some free tactics on how you can do this. We're going to talk about what does it mean to showcase your body of work. And then we're going to talk about, really, what does it mean to be on top of mind virtually? You hear marketers, they teach you, you got to be on top of mind, you got to pump out content. But there's a better way to do this that is easier, that is way more effective. And I'm going to show you step by step on how to do this. So make sure you stick to the end. I'm going to give you all of this stuff. So let's just go in with the growth strategies. We're going to go over 4 that is free to do. The first one is you hear about joining local community groups, right? So the local community groups are what you would say, like, if you're in San Jose or in the Pacific area, join those groups, but don't just join it to solicit your business. You got to put your ear to the newsfeed. And what I mean by that is you got to listen to see what type of questions people are asking and jump in and add value, right? That's how you're going to resonate and build the trust, the credibility. But beyond what most will do, because most are going to do this already, is think about other type of groups that your followers are on or your prospects are on. And that's going to be, for example, home buyer community groups. Now, I get a lot of realtors are probably going to be in this group. So your competitors are going to be on here. But the thing is, you got to pay attention to these groups. You have real homeowners, you have real prospects who have real concerns and questions. And if you can be the first to answer the question, you can be the first to really showcase your credibility, your authority, your expertise. That's how you're going to start building that leadership role digitally, right? And then when you think about, well, homeowners, if you're not interested in first-time buyers, but you really want to get the listings, right? Where are they hanging out on Facebook, right? Besides, within their own personal network. Well, think about it. As a homeowner, how many of us have gone and made a trip to Home Depot, right? Think about the home improvement and renovation group. There's like 40,000 homeowners in there. Or, you can make that assessment just by the definition of this group is, if you're a renter, you're not really going to be improving your home. But if you're a homeowner, you will be. And if you pay attention to the questions that they do ask, they'll ask whether they should do X renovation versus Y renovation. And if you are the expert that you claim to be, then you're going to jump in and tell them, hey, X renovation is going to give you the most bigger bang for your buck. And that's a great segue to ask them if they're thinking about doing a renovation to get the most value, because they're thinking about possibly selling. That's a great opportunity to start that conversation. So these groups are, essentially, if you work it, are gold mine, but it does take a little bit of work. All right. And don't think that also realtor communities, stay away from that. Don't think that they're your competitors. You really want to have the mindset of these are your clients, these are your colleagues. This is how you can get your reach, right? When you have a listing, you go and you put it on MLS, that's the normal process. But when you throw it into a realtor community, now you're giving other realtors an opportunity to engage with you. And it also allows you to really establish your credibility among your colleagues. With that said, let's move on. What's the next thing that you can do? Aside from, basically putting some time into the community. And one thing I didn't mention before is, if you pay attention to a lot of successful people, a common thread among all of them is that they invest in themselves. So I don't want to make it sound like these are really easy things to do and it's not going to take time. It will take time, but if you're willing to invest in your time, this is how you're going to get that growth. And if you're looking for organic growth, it does take time to put in the work, but if you're willing to do that, you're going to see amazing results. These are proven tactics, by the way. These are not something that just you're thinking it might work. It will work if you're willing to put the time in. Yes, again, I'm going to go back to the questions at the end here, but very quickly, James is asking, are you talking about Facebook groups? Yes, Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn community groups, there's different groups out there that you can really target. So let's move on to number 2 here, which is, how do you research your competitors? Have you heard of Facebook Ads Library? This is to me, an untapped tool. Like, Facebook doesn't really promote this. This is a way for you to get full transparency on any ad run by any of your competitors. It's very powerful because essentially you can search big competitors and local competitors. So for example, if I go on the Facebook Ads Library and I put in Zillow ads, who is your biggest competitor, you can see all the ads that they're running. You can see everything. And if you pay attention to their ads, you'll see a common thread on the type of messaging that they're doing. I'm not saying go and copy them. I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is you can emulate some of their messaging, because why? They have the money, they have the analytics, they know exactly what consumers are wanting. So if they're having a specific common theme in their messaging, you might want to consider that as you create your content and put it out there. So I just randomly chose an ad here that they're actively running, and they're focusing on safety. How do you sell your home in a safe manner? Makes total sense. We're in this pandemic. We haven't gone out of the woods yet, but that's their messaging. So you want to reflect on that and ask yourself, when you promote yourself, when you're putting out content about real estate, and if you're asking for listings and you're looking for homeowners to sell with you, are you emphasizing that safety is one of the biggest things that you offer? Is you ensure safety? Now, if you don't want to look at the corporations with the bigger bucks, you can narrow down locally. You can look at someone locally, someone here in the Bay Area, look at all of their ads, and then it gives you a really good inspiration on what type of ads that you can consider. And again, I emphasize that don't copy word for word, because it all depends on your audience. However, it does give you inspiration, and it kind of tells you what's working for them. Another tip, though, another reason why this tool is really effective is that this tool can help you validate a marketer. How many times have we hired a marketer who promised us they were going to give us these listings? You pay thousands of dollars and you end up empty-handed. An easy way to validate them is just ask them, hey, who are your clients? And you can search them up and you can see all of the ads that they're running. And that's a very easy way to validate and see if they are actually active in the community and working with colleagues of yours. Moving on to number 3 here, polls. This is something that, again, untapped strategy, polls. So what are polls? They are tools within different social media platforms that allow you to ask a question and let people vote on them. Now, those are really highly engaging type content because you're asking commonly asked questions to your audience. Who are your audience? Well, if you think about it, your best type of audience or content is your clients, your past clients, who are your buyers and sellers. They're the ones who can tell you what concerns they have. I mean, if you think about it from the buyer perspective, what are they asking you, right? Common questions is it a good time to buy right now? Because I've been hearing that it's an all-time high. Am I buying it at the peak? Maybe I should wait until the price drops, right? Or, what is it like to live in San Jose? right? Those are commonly asked questions. Those are great content that you can put out there to get people to vote, or for you to answer those questions just through regular content, whether it's video or through text or driving them to a blog. You want to think about that, because traditionally, when you think about your competitors, or when you think about just in general, real estate industry, they've been conditioned to basically pound themselves on the chest and say, look at me, I sold X days, I sold X over, and that's all they do. But that gets tiring, right? You want to educate. This is how you can cross promote, well, you can cross post across multiple platforms. If you can educate, educating someone across different platforms will always win, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn. You can educate people and people will resonate with that. Don't go and just start talking about your listings on LinkedIn. That's not going to work. And similarly, if you go to your seller questions, ask them what made them want to work with you, what made them move, right? You guys are the gold mine. You guys have all these answers, but you got to convey it through content. What makes people move? Can they trade up? What to do with my equity? Now, I'm going to share a quick story, a personal story, because I think this is important to understand, is that each of you have been in it, you guys have everything. You have all the content. You just gotta get it out there. And the thing is, one of the biggest questions homeowners have right now is, yes, they are all aware that their price of their house have appreciated crazy. The thing is that you're not, agents are not answering what to do with that equity, right? If I'm sitting on so much equity and I want to figure out how do I take advantage of this equity, who is on social media teaching me what I can do? Because there's so many avenues, so many vehicles that you can use that can essentially keep that equity and keep growing it. Personally, I've been, and by the way, sellers, right? We know that sellers don't just decide one day to sell their home. They think about it months ahead, right? So right now, there's a lot of people sitting on equity right now in the Bay Area thinking if they should sell. So how do you resonate with them? You need to answer those questions. What to do if I were to sell, right? How can I protect my profits? Can I trade up? I don't know, right? Can I take that money and move it somewhere? So what I did personally is a couple of years ago, well, actually it was a year ago, I had rentals in Sacramento, right? I didn't know what to do. And what really made me triggered to sell my properties was because I finally decided, you know what, I had enough. I didn't want to deal with my renters, and I wanted to just sell it, take that profit and pay the tax and do something simple like build out an ADU on one of my properties here in San Jose. I had a very simplistic view. But what I did end up doing is that someone in Fidelity, one of your title reps, actually referred me to one of your clients or one of your agents who started schooling me and educating me that I can actually take my money, I can take the profit, do a 1031 exchange and move it into a commercial business, do a triple net lease investment, and I can double my revenue. Wait a minute, what? At first, I thought this guy was trying to scam me. I'll be honest, because I never heard of that. And I always thought that when you're buying a commercial building, that you are responsible for finding a tenant. I didn't know there was a such thing as a triple net lease investment. And I ended up doing that type of investment. And this agent I've never worked with. This agent won me over because he conveyed his trustworthiness. And he proved to me that he is someone that actually have done the work. I think that's very important to understand as well. If you're the one who have bought homes before and you're speaking to an investor, they definitely want to see what you've done in the past. And if you can convey that, that's how you can really win them over. So kudos for Fidelity for always adding value. So I'm going to go jump into an example of what you can do with the polling. If you go on to LinkedIn, right now, LinkedIn is blowing up with new engagement tools. And one of them is polling. This is something I did a month ago, but they only let these polls last for maybe 2 weeks. And I just asked a very simple question on my LinkedIn profile. I said, in today's hot real estate market, what would make you sell? And I gave 4 answers. If I knew where to move affordably, if I can get more than what it's worth, could I trade into something bigger, or I didn't have to fix my home and I would sell. So within the 2 weeks, it went in over almost close to 1,000 people saw this poll. Only 10 people answered it, but that's 10 homeowners who answered this question now gives me the ability to follow up. And 5 of them said they would sell the home if they got more than what it's worth. Your biggest lead magnet is doing a home analysis. So you can follow up with those 5 prospects, those 5 homeowners, and tell them and ask them whether they want to, if they want to have their, get a home assessment. So that's a very easy way to follow up. It's not a cold call, and you're just really following up on the survey that they participated in. As a bonus on LinkedIn, if you're connected to them, you get their email naturally, meaning they will, in their profile, allow you to see their email. So you don't even need to directly communicate them here. You can actually connect them directly on email and follow up. Very powerful way. I highly recommend people start thinking about and doing something like this, especially on LinkedIn. I did a whole class at the NER conference, doing a whole lecture on really growing your brand on LinkedIn. And I still talk about this all the time. It's like, you guys got to get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not a place for you to promote your listings, but it's a place for you to educate, teach people how to grow their wealth. Real estate is the biggest gateway to wealth, right? That's the easiest thing to understand, and most people will resonate with that. So get on that. So with that said, let's move on to the 4th one here. And again, I speak really fast. Don't worry, we are recording this, and you can always go back and rewatch this. Moving on to the 4th one, which is community spotlighting. This is something that I can't stress enough. I mean, with the pandemic, with so many local businesses hurting, having a realtor by their side, supporting them, highlighting their business or highlighting community does wonders. This person here is in the Bay Area. She does videos about living in San Jose. She does a lot of great content, why you should live in San Jose or why you should not, right? She does a tour around the neighborhood. That's really powerful, because now what you're doing is you're supplanting yourself as the authority figure. You are definitely the person to go after or go to when you want to know what's happening in San Jose. And like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, you're not just selling real estate, right? You're expected to be the person that knows everything that's happening in San Jose. So having a video like this and putting it on the #1 video engine, which is YouTube, is going to allow you to really supercharge yourself and be searchable on Google. So when someone searches for this agent, Amanda Vang, you will not only see her Google My Business, her reviews, all of the syndication, but you'll see the videos supplanted in the top page. And this is how she can really take ownership of the search results when someone searches for her. So if you want to know how's the fact, if I don't have any presence online, like if I want to start from ground zero, what do? I would do what Scott suggested. Go get a Google My Business, put videos together. It does not have to be high production, and put it on YouTube. Google is the #1 search engine. They will do their best to rank you. And if you're on Google and you're on YouTube, you're going to be in the search results. So now that we talked about really growing your brand, the next step is when you meet people, how do you showcase your work? Because your work is everywhere. When you think about it from a physical standpoint, right? Your brand physically is generally on point. You have your profile picture, you got your business card, you have your nice outfit on, and when you're at a networking event, and when things do really open up, you will be going back to these networking events, you know what to say, because your physical on brand is always on point. But the problem is with the pandemic, all it has done is magnified and emphasized the need that your digital brand needs to be at the same level. It needs to be at the same level. So when they see you in person, what do they see when they see you online? Again, going back to Scott was mentioning, you got to make sure you look professional. You got to make sure you act like you work in a big team when it's generally just you. The problem is the content that you're putting out there is pretty much everywhere, right? You're putting stuff on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, right? LinkedIn. And then you're meeting people, and then you're getting testimonials on Google reviews, right? Zillow reviews, Reach 150, and you have something on your website. And then you're getting listings, you're doing these presentations, you're pumping it out back onto social media. Your content is everywhere, which You should be, right? That's absolutely makes sense. You should be everywhere. But the thing is, when you have fragmented content, it generally is harder to generate business. And I'm going to give you a quick example here, and follow me here. So let's just stick with this agent here locally. Her name is 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗍. I don't think she's on this call here, but I highly respect her, seeing what she's doing online. She has a really great profile. She spends a lot of time making these really good videos, and she spent a lot of time, putting it on Facebook to let people click on it to drive her to her video. But the thing is, when you're on YouTube, YouTube doesn't care whether you stick on her video. YouTube wants you stuck on YouTube, watching as many videos as possible for as long as possible. So as a consumer, if I see this link, I click on it, I watch the video, but what happens? As a consumer, I end up seeing other videos almost similar or identical to hers. These are her local competitors. They creep into her feed. So although she made a great video and she spent all this time to drive traffic to her video, only to see me go to possibly another video that is her competitor, she ended up handing off her lead to her competitor. Does that sound fair? No, right? Generally, that's because, again, YouTube is not meant for realtors, right? There's a lot of distractions. When you watch one video, there's like a video before the video, there's a video in between, there's a video afterwards. There's a lot of distraction. And not only that, there is no built-in strategy to generate business. So the thing is, what I'm trying to get to is that although you have content everywhere, you still need to drive those fragmented content back to a central location, right? And I'm talking about your website, but not your typical website. Before I get into that, I want to just briefly go over 2 stats that everybody needs to know if they don't know this already, which is the first stat for buyers. And these stats are directly from NAR. They publish these reports year in, year out. 73% of buyers interview only one agent. 77% of homeowners interview one agent. So what does that mean? It means your first impression is absolutely critical. So when they meet you or they find one of your content that was engaging content on one of the feeds, what do they see when they go on your website? Because your website is a reflection of your brand. Let me repeat that. Your website is a reflection of your brand. So if you don't have your website teed up like how your physical brand is, that's a huge problem. Now, when you think about website, I want us to also stop calling it a real estate website, because people aren't going on your website to search for properties, but they are researching you. They're finding you on Google. And if your content is if you are driving people back to your website, you got to be able to answer these questions. You got to answer these 3 questions, which is, can they trust you, right? You got to be able to answer that question on your website. Are you going to be someone that they can envision themselves working with? This is why video is so powerful, because you can only say so much via text to convey your emotions and to let people make that assessment whether they think they can work with you. But when you do a video, that's when they can really judge you. Okay, and again, people aren't going to call you first. They're going to look at this content, and then they're going to make an assessment whether they think they can work with you. And then lastly, they need to see, are you an active agent? Are you truly a local expertise in your area? So you need to showcase that. So that's what we call essentially your website is not a website where people search for properties. Your website is a portfolio of work. It's your body of work. So how do you showcase that in the best light? So let me just go ahead and use the same example where instead of having them go to YouTube, and again, YouTube is distracting your traffic, your users, you can drive them back to your website where you can emphasize the content itself. Now, anyone can build out a website. You can use Wix.com, you can go GoDaddy, you can use all kinds of vendors. But the elements I want to emphasize are elements that I believe every person should have on the website, which is what? When someone goes on your website, you don't want them clicking on around. You want to make it really simple where they can go in and look at exactly what they clicked on. So if you shared a video on free things to do in San Jose, let them watch that video, but then at the same time, give them related content that is fully branded to you. Give them ways to further engage with you on your website. Don't just give them one content and hope that they call you. That's not going to happen. Right? If they want to book a time, make it easy for them to reach out to you. You should, there's a tool out there called Calendly, completely for free, and it can hook into your calendar and let people book one-on-one calls with you or group calls with you. And you can even have qualifying questions too. This is an easy way to let consumers pick a time without having to go back and forth when each of you are available. Make it easy for them to call you on their phone. Your website essentially needs to be mobile optimized. And what that means is when they look at your website on their phone, if they want to call you, don't make them copy and paste your phone number into the phone. Make it so that they can just tap your phone, the number and call you immediately. Make sure your testimonials are brought in multiple locations, right? If you have Zillow reviews, bring them in. If you have Google reviews, bring them in. If you have other reviews that aren't in those vendors, bring them in. That's to showcase and, again, give you that credibility. Now, if they really want to fill out a form, by all means, make sure you have a form available and make sure they can fill it out. But then you want to think about what's your lead magnet, because although you're giving them value to watch these videos, how can you make it so that they can give you their information? Well, you can offer them information that they would be willing to give their information for. For example, top 7 ways to sell your house fast, or home buyer guides, whatever that might be. That can be content that you should lock and only give that out when someone gives you information. And I think one of the best ways to get engagements is you gotta have a live chat on your website. There are tools out there that are completely free. Look up drift.com, talk.to.com. You can use those services, add them on your website, and it allows people, real visitors, to reach out to you. You're going to be surprised with the type of engagements you get. But what I will want to say is that don't just think about any live chat. Think about live chats that can really give you better engagements. Make it easy for the consumer to click on buttons instead of them typing things out, right? Think about what Amanda is doing. She has a button that says, Amanda, please call me, or schedule a call with me. Really simple buttons for people to click on and really give their information out. And when you add this all up, what you're doing is your website needs to have multiple engagement layers. So when you go back today and look at your website, you want to look at, are you doing that? Are you making it really hard for them to engage with you? And are you giving them relevant content? That's what you want to start thinking about. Now, let's move on to how do you stay on top of mind? Now, we hear, again, marketers will say to stay on top of mind, you got to pump out content. But the problem with that approach is that it's a lot of effort. So there's a tool, there's something out there called pixels. Some of you might have heard it. And pixels are essentially a technology or a little script that you can embed on your website where you can follow people around the minute they engage on your ad, the minute they land on your website. There's a tool out there called Facebook Pixel Helper on Chrome. You can install that and easily identify whether your website has a pixel installed. And the reason why pixels are powerful, because you can create what we call evergreen content, meaning you can take a website or an article or one of your property listings, put it on social media, and when people click on it, you can essentially build what we call a blind database of users, and you can follow them around with future ads. Now, a strategy that I've used in the past to get seller listings are exactly this strategy, where I will take and build out an audience. What I'll do is look at everybody who went on one of our websites, and I will put them in a database based on the pixel that I have installed, and I will showcase my trustworthiness. So we'll, if I'm doing this for a client, I will showcase testimonials of the realtor, right? To really establish that credibility. And I might do that 1 or 2 times in a week. And then I will finally give them a final ad that will do a lead capture, where I'm going to tell them, hey, if you want a seller guide, fill in this information, we'll give you the PDF, and in return, you give us some of your information. And that's what you do in terms of a funnel strategy. Now, let me visualize this for you guys so that you guys can see this all. So typically, your traffic it's going to come from an array of many different sources. It could be from social media. It could be from your website, YouTube, Google My Business, your reviews. What I mentioned earlier, remember that slide, all of your content that is everywhere still needs to drive them back to your website. And when you do that, all of your websites or all of your content should have a pixel installed. And when you do have that installed, you end up building a database of potential users. These are people who have seen your brand, seen your content, they get put into this database automatically by Facebook. And a funnel strategy is you can have, in a week, you can run one ad against all the people in that database, and you can run a second ad on everybody who's seen the first ad. So you're funneling them through this process where you are identifying all the people who have seen your content, you're giving them one ad first, and then the second ad is going to be based off of the people who engaged with the first ad. And then I will run another ad against people who've seen the first and second ad. So you see, I'm funneling them to my content here, but I'm not asking them for information. I am showcasing my authority, my credibility. And then on the weekend, what I'll do is I'll give them a hard lead capture. I will tell them, hey, here is a homeowner guide. Give me your information and I will give you a PDF. And this is how you can lead capture effectively. And if you look at this strategy, by the time they land it and get this hard offer that we're giving out, they've seen us at least 3 times, 4 times, bare minimum. And we know in the rule of marketing, they need to see you at least 7 times before they even remember you. So when someone does end up going down to this funnel and getting lead captured, they have already seen your brand multiple times. They know you, they've seen you. So it's not such a hard ask. And at any point in stage in time, all of these ads, they do need to go back to your personal website. Your website, we're calling it the portfolio website, needs to go back into the traffic sources, which then goes back into the pixel database. Most realtors, though, don't do this strategy at all. Most realtors, what they'll do is they'll go straight for the lead capture. They will skip everything up top and they'll go straight for the lead capture. And this is why your leads, you will get leads, but this is why your leads aren't, they aren't real leads. They're not engaged leads. They're not leads that are fully qualified, right? They just, a lot of times I hear from realtors who I've worked with where they do this strategy. By the time they do call them up, they don't know who they are. They don't even know why you're calling them. And that's why they fail. Or this is why consistently, this is not a long-term solution. What you really want to do is use this strategy. You want to drive people to your website. Your website will collect this information, and then you want to run ads. And this is how you stay on top of mind. Because whenever they look at one of your content, by the time they leave your website and they go back on Facebook or they go back on Google, they're going to start seeing your content fly in. This is how you can keep it up. And that's how you can keep them following up on you. Now, moving on here, and that's it. So what I want to say is that's about it. Hopefully that was a lot. Listen here, we just ended here right on the dot. If you go on our website, superchargeonlinepresence.com, put a hyphen, a dash between the two. If you go on superchargeonlinepresence.com, what you will see is a website that we made where you can go and download our slides here. You can download Scott's slides. You can see, we added some additional marketing tips and hacks we've done in the past. We've partnered up with other marketing agencies. I talked about earlier about the Facebook ad library. We have a link here for you. You can click on that and it'll go right to the ad library for you to research your competitors. So we put it all in one spot for you to really get the stuff for free. There's nothing here to fill out. You can just download it directly. Just remember to go to superchargeonlinepresence.com and all the content is here for you. So with that said, any questions?
And hey, Mike, I have questions for you, but I know we only have a few minutes and awesome presentation. Maybe we'll just let the people on the call ask just in the interest of time.
Yes. So I didn't get any questions here in the group. Feel free to unmute yourself. This is recorded and If you want to get this recording, please go back to your Fidelity rep. They will give you a special link to watch this video again.
And also, if anybody in particular wants to meet with Michael or meet with me one-on-one, again, reach out to your Fidelity rep and they'll broker that call. Okay, here we go, Michael. There's a question. Pixels have to be with FB ads and we have to pay, correct?
Yes, you do have to pay when you run ads, but you do not have to pay to collect their information and build that blind database. So what we always recommend for those who may not want to run paid ads yet, the first thing you should do is get a pixel installed, which is free to do, put it on your website. So even though you are putting out content and you're growing your brand organically, Facebook will be able to track them for you. So when it's time for you to run an ad, you can choose those, you can choose that audience essentially. So you should be building this database. And it is on Facebook, but you can do the same thing on Google and on LinkedIn. They both have their own pixels, which you can add to your website, and they generally will do most of the work for you. They will generate the script, and they will tell you, put it on your website or give it to your webmaster, and your webmaster will know what to do. It's a very simple thing. It's just click and save, and that's it. You set it and forget it type thing. Great question. Any others?
While we're waiting for other people to ask, maybe I can just, I love the LinkedIn play. I know that most people, they'll either have a LinkedIn profile that they don't post on, or they'll hire a company to post for them. But like you said, I think that like real business specific content on LinkedIn is an awesome opportunity. And I know realtors and mortgage people certainly who've made a lot of money from LinkedIn because they set themselves up as a professional expert, and investors and those types actually look to that as a little bit more of authority as opposed to Facebook with design ideas and that kind of stuff. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And there's a stat there that I think I remember it was around 41 or 44% of millionaires are on LinkedIn. So when you think about it, they're not on it to essentially buy homes. Okay, they're not using it to search for properties. However, they are looking to optimize their time. They're looking to grow their wealth. And again, I mentioned earlier, real estate is the biggest gateway to wealth. You guys hold the keys, the access to that. So as an investor myself, I'm always looking for ways to grow my wealth. And if you're giving content out there, I'm going to resonate with you, right? And again, I'll go back to that story I shared with the Fidelity rep who referred me to a client. I've never met that realtor. And I did the first deal last year. And today we're in contract on our third deal, right? And this was all through referrals. And it was because that person really established themselves as someone that really know how to protect someone's wealth and grow it. And I didn't meet this person. And we did this deal all over the phone. It was during the pandemic, right? It was during the COVID timeframe. But he established that trust. So I can't emphasize enough that if you're going to be on LinkedIn, really position yourself as the person to go to when it talks about, how do you invest in real estate?
Looks like we've gone, that's great, Michael. Looks like we're over time. I have one last thing I wanted to mention that you talked about. I know a lot of agents, when you talk about YouTube, they're like, oh, I got to make videos. And it's all about, it's all about consistency and thinking that they have to make a video all of, every week or whatever. So I always tell people, it's so easy to create a YouTube page. Here's the key elements to it. It's number one, yes, you need to be consistent, but you don't have to shoot a video every week. You can shoot on a Sunday, you could spend 4 hours and shoot 25 videos and break them up and actually trickle them out, right? To people. But also the big question is always, how do you get this content out, right? Having a YouTube channel doesn't mean people come to the YouTube channel. Just like having a blog doesn't mean that someone's going to come to your website and read your blog. You need to push it out. And all of the ideas that you gave around, all of the different channels, but also being able to push everyone back to your website, I think is key, right? Because you're keeping it all, it's like a feedback loop. There's content that's being pushed out, but it's bringing them all back to the centralized location. Did I understand that right?
Yes, that's 100%. You know, all of your content is going to continue to be fragmented. There's no one solution that does it for you in a way that is organic, but you do want to drive them back to a a portfolio site, a site that really can talk to you, really speak to your body of work. And if you're on YouTube, you're making a YouTube video, how do you get the biggest reach? Well, a quick tip here is make sure you do a thumbnail. I'll give everyone a quick tip. If you do a thumbnail, that's like the easiest way to get people's attention. A lot of realtors, they'll make a video, they'll put it on YouTube and they'll set it and forget it. And they get no traction. The easiest thing you can do right now, if you do put on YouTube, is make sure you have a thumbnail. Have a thumbnail that is optimized or it grabs people's attention. That's the easiest way to get better numbers. And you can share this out on other platforms. You can share previews, clips, put it on multiple platforms, but still drive people back to your website where you can showcase other content that is relatable.
That's awesome.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, Fidelity. Thanks, everyone, for joining us and sticking through the content. And again, if you have questions, you want to have a one-on-one meeting with us, talk to your Fidelity rep. They have our personal contact information. They can set that up. And with that said, thank you all.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Fidelity, folks.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.